Disclaimer, I'm not an expert. I am just speaking on my own experiences. Hello. Hi, my name is Ruby, and if you don't... Hello? Hey guys, back at it again with a chronic illness. Hello, if you don't know me, my name is Ruby, and I suffer from chronic pain. I suffer from chronic illness / chronic pain. Yes, so I have chronic migraines, chronic neck pain, chronic fatigue, and an autoimmune disease called Hashimoto's. So Hashimoto's sounds like a really complicated name, but it's basically just a fancy way of saying that my immune system attacks itself. It's specific to the gland in my neck that looks like a butterfly. I'll put a picture. And that gland is called the thyroid, and basically that controls like all of your hormones and metabolism and all that fun stuff. According to a website called Society for Endocrinology, it basically produces the hormones that you need to regulate your body's metabolic function, which again is your metabolism, as well as it controls the heart rate, muscle and digestive function, your brain development, and bone maintenance. I'm just thinking of a janitor who's like sweeping with a bone mop. I don't know why I'd be sweeping with a mop. I don't know. Okay. Basically, it can just make your hormones and metabolism all funky. That's what it does for me. So today I thought I'd share with you a little bit more about my chronic illness, as well as a look into my day-to-day life, maybe some tips and advice, and some of the products I use. I will put all the links to the resources I found down below, so definitely check those out after the video if you're interested. And I say we just get into it. I look like a giant pink blob. Before we start, this is my Snuggie that I got at the Goodwill. It's so soft and comfortable, and yes, I will be wearing it for this whole video. Thank you very much. First off, I wanted to talk about what my day-to-day life is like. So I'm going to start with talking about the kind of pain I experience. So like I mentioned, I suffer from an autoimmune disease called Hashimoto's, which I've nicknamed hash browns just because it's more fun to say. So basically the symptoms that come with that for me are that I'm really sensitive to the heat and also really sensitive to the cold. So when I go outside and I'm in the sun, it straight up feels like I've stepped into an oven. And I know that sounds dramatic, but that is literally what it feels like. Imagine, I don't know if you've ever made like a pizza in the oven or something and you stuck your hand in there and you're like, oops, forgot to put a pot holder on. Let me do that before I reach into the hot oven. That's what it feels like, but all over my body, which is so fun. I love it. So summer is definitely my least favorite season, especially since I live in California, which is so hot. But luckily I survive this by layering, which sounds counterintuitive, but I usually go out in a jacket over anything that I wear because it blocks the sun and it makes things just like a tiny bit better. Hats are also awesome. I don't love hats, but hoodies are great too. I try to make sure my legs are covered as well, so I usually wear long skirts, or if I'm wearing shorts, I just try to stay in the shade as much as possible. And as I mentioned, I'm also fairly sensitive to the cold, so when it's kind of chilly, my feet are literally so cold, my toes will like go numb. My hands will be sensitive too, to where they're chilly, but like not as bad as my toes. So the heat for me is different than the cold because with the heat comes this splotchy rash type of thing on my legs. I'll show a picture. That splotchiness will happen if I'm in the sun too long, or if I take a really hot shower, or anything involving heat pretty much. So these red splotches kind of look like a rash, but they're not contagious, and they go away usually after about 15 minutes or so of me sitting in the shade. They're still annoying though, and it's pretty painful. It's that heat sensation like you're in an oven, and the heat sensitivity affects all areas of my body, but for some reason the splotching is like central to my legs. With the fatigue part of it, I'm usually exhausted even after I've done nothing. It's hard to get out of bed. Sometimes just making food on like low energy days is really hard for me. Standing in the sun or standing in the shower for too long affects me. Also, if I'm not in the sun or the heat, standing for too long can still make my legs hurt, and I still can get those splotches. Maybe not as bad, but my feet will start hurting a lot. I think I first started noticing these symptoms at the end of middle school, like maybe beginning of high school. So I would say I was probably around 13 or 14 years old. And now I'm 19, about to be 20, and it still hasn't gone away. Another part of my pain is my neck. So I had my wisdom teeth taken out in 2020, and they had left a piece of my tooth in the back, and so they had to go back in and do a debridement. I couldn't eat or drink anything for weeks, and I lost a bunch of weight. The pain from those 2 surgeries never went away, so I'm just constantly have neck pain. So now I'm just stuck with that, I guess. I've been to so many different doctors, I can't keep track of them all, but I know I went to a dentist who thought maybe it could be a root canal situation, like I would need one, so they tested the tooth and it was fine. And then I've had x-rays done, and there's like a little piece of something still in there, and I don't think it's a tooth, but they said it looks like it could be metal, which is terrifying. So there's like a foreign object in my body. Other doctors have said I have like TMJ, which I definitely do, but that does not help my thyroid issues because it's all central to my neck. My neck is constantly hurting, and that's the worst part. I usually have what I call a background headache. I have one right now. Basically, it's just a little headache that never goes away, and it can get worse depending on what I'm doing or what's happening. So sometimes these background headaches will turn into migraines, and I can't do anything. I can't eat or sleep or read or be on my phone or do anything that I want to. I usually have to sit in the dark and kind of wait it out. When the headache isn't so horrible, I can take Advil, and that sometimes kicks in. But when it gets so bad to the point where it's a migraine, I take Excedrin. That usually will help a bit and bring it down to a headache, but it's still not foolproof. I will put an ice pack on my face and I'll sit in the dark until it lessens. So the TMJ/wisdom tooth pain was on my right side, but I've talked to doctors and professionals who've said basically because the pain isn't like even on both sides, this side will start to hurt, and so instead of just being my right side, now my left side will hurt as well. And it depends on the day or what's happening, but they can switch off or hurt at the same time. Usually my right side is worse though. The migraine and headache and neck pain will travel, and it'll start in my jaw and it will go all the way down my neck on both sides. It can also make my eyes hurt, so like up here and underneath my eyes as well. But the worst ones for me are the ones that go behind my eyes, and they hurt so bad. Right now, as I'm talking, I have a little headache right here. And it'll go into the back of my skull, and it'll go up in my temples. It'll basically travel wherever it wants to. So because of the TMJ and the neck pain, I see a physical therapist once a week and a massage therapist as often as possible. I've been to so many masseuses, and they always have the widest eyes when they feel the knot that's right here. You can actually hear it. Warning for those who don't want to hear it. That's okay. There's one on both sides. It's bad. So at physical therapy, I basically do neck exercises to strengthen my neck, and then I also get a little massage that helps my jaw stay in place and make sure everything's working properly. When I go get a massage, basically that's to try and work out all of the knots that I have in my neck, because those can grow bigger and bigger and it hurts more. I usually have like a background headache, like I said, to try to wait it out until that headache is pretty bad. It's kind of getting in the way of conversations or listening to music or watching something. So when it gets to that point, I take some Advil, and if it gets any worse than that, to the point where I feel like I may throw up or I'm really dizzy, I take Excedrin. And I know it's probably not the best to wait, but for me, medicine doesn't always work. And so I want to see if I can wait it out or fight it on my own, because I don't want my body to become like over reliant on those medicines. I know that can affect your liver and wear down parts of your body that you need, and I'm already dying, so I don't want to mess anything up even more. But other than that, that's kind of what I deal with on a daily basis. I will have those excruciating migraines maybe once or twice a month, and I will have background headaches most of the time, and a few headaches here and there. It's not enjoyable, but I found ways to cope, and I'm okay with it for now. So that brings me to what I want to talk about next, which is some advice. So for me, I've personally only met 2 other people in my lifetime that also have Hashimoto's like me. But when I Google it, it says it's common. So who knows? If you have an autoimmune disease or a chronic illness or are dealing with pain in any way, the best thing I could say is that you aren't alone. And while there might not be a cure, there is things you can do, hopefully, to lessen your pain or make yourself more comfortable while you're dealing with it. There are also a lot of resources online, as well as like accounts that I follow on like Hashimoto's and chronic illness, chronic pain, that kind of thing. But also there are funny meme accounts that I follow for spoonies. If you don't know what that is, here's a little definition. But I definitely recommend the meme accounts because those are fun. For me, I like to follow that kind of stuff because it makes it a little less scary and I don't feel so alone. Like, I'm like, oh, that's funny and I can relate to it. But I also enjoy following people who are more serious about it and like will talk about it, because it's kind of a taboo thing for people to talk about. If you can't see your chronic illness or your pain, people think it doesn't exist, and that's just not true. So now I'm going to move on to some tips and tricks that I have. If you're dealing with pain, your best friend is the ice pack. I've bought so many, I have an addiction. I have the kind that look like they're from Texas Chainsaw Massacre when he like sticks the face on his face. That's what they look like, the face mask. I have some that make me look like a superhero. I have some that are shaped like tiny frogs. I have some that have Velcro so I can like put them on and run around my room, have it on. I don't know. I also have some that have like essential oils in them and are like natural. They're supposed to be good for your skin and health and all that fun stuff as well. Oh my gosh, I forgot. I'm reading my notes and I have a Baby Yoda one. I haven't used it in a minute because it got a hole in it. But I got this Baby Yoda one from a street fair and this lady made it by hand and it is so cute, and she filled it with like rosemary or like something good, and it's just so nice and I love it. I need to sew it ASAP because I really want to use it again and it has a hole in it. Another really helpful tool that I use is pressure points. These are absolutely essential for me. Some good ones, I kind of already pointed to like where my pain areas are, and those are actually some pressure points near where my pain manifests, so I will show you some right now. There are some good ones that include like above your eyes right here, on both sides, as well as your temples on both sides. Or you could try below your eyes, all in there. You will feel like if you push hard enough, that's where your sinuses are, so you can feel little lumps and bumps. Or maybe not, maybe you're normal and I'm the only one who has lumps and bumps. Behind your ears, and again on both sides. Sometimes pinching your nose at the bridge helps. I read about one, it was called your third eye or something. It was right there. And one of the very best ones that I use for headaches, pain, anything, is between your thumb and index finger. You should feel like a little muscle-y kind of thing in there. You can kind of massage it and you'll feel it. And if you have a headache when you're doing this and you hold it, your headache should definitely lessen. So right now the left side of my head hurts, so I'm going to do it on my left hand. See, that definitely helped. It can make your hands sore, but in my opinion, it's worth having less pain in my head. I'm just gonna do this the rest of the video. So those are just some of the pressure points that I use, but I left an article in the description about different pressure points you could try, and obviously there's lots of resources online, and I'm sure there's other videos that can tell you more about it. So next we're gonna be talking about some of the products that I use. All of these products I'm going to also link in the description, so feel free to check them out if you want. These items include, but are not limited to, #non-sponsored. So I use this product called Sombra Natural Pain Relieving Gel, and basically they come in different versions. You can get the roll-on kind, or you can get the cream kind. And the difference between these two is that the rolling kind, you can roll on to your pain areas, whereas the cream kind, you can like scoop it up and put it where you need to. So I'm going to demonstrate the rolling one just so you can kind of see how it works. It has like a nice little roller on the top, and this one's almost empty because I've used it so much, but I will show you how it works. You can use as much or as little as you want. That's why I love it, is because I can use as much as I want and it's not gonna hurt me. It comes out clear and it has kind of a minty smell to it. It's really simple. You don't have to get it on your hands with like balms or oils or anything. The smell lingers. If I want to itch my eyes or something, it's like, so I love these kinds because I can just roll it on and there's not a minty smell in my hands. It feels a little minty on the skin, but not to the point where it hurts at all. So the other kind I mentioned was the cream, and I'm not going to put it on since I just used the roller, but I will show you what it looks like on the inside. There's a cat hair in there. Thanks, Iris. It's a white cream that also goes on clear, and it's the exact same thing. It feels a little minty, it smells a little minty. So it's white in the container, but it goes on clear, and it smells the same as the roller, and it feels the same on your skin. And then I also have this one. It's just another roller. The only difference is the caps look slightly different. Like I said, I personally prefer the roller because I don't have to get my hands all minty, but what you prefer is entirely up to you. Overall though, I would just recommend that product because it's really helped me, and I would say that I honestly use it every day. Next up on my list is a massage gun. We got this one on Amazon, and it comes with like a cute little carrying case with zippers. Open it up so we can get a better look. It looks like this. There is a plus and a minus sign in the back, so you can turn up the power or turn down the power of how strong you want it to be. There's a little vent at the top to make sure the fan is working and the air isn't gonna get trapped and, I don't know, catch on fire. There's a nice little like rubber grip for you to hold. It's pretty heavy, and you just turn it on at the bottom, and then you can adjust it from there. And it actually comes with a bunch of different tops for it. So there's one that's shaped like this, there's one that has some texture on it, there's one that kind of looks like a hook. Arg. This one's rounded a little bit. This one's flat. This one looks like the handle to a shovel. This one is the one I usually use because it's just simple and the most useful. I don't know. I like it because it doesn't take batteries. It just has the on button, and then you charge it with a USB. Okay, so I'm going to turn it on and show you how it works. So first you're going to just turn it on at the bottom, and then it'll light up in the back. And the speed currently says 0, and on the other side it tells you the battery percentage. So right now it's at 80%, and if you push the plus button, that will speed it up, and if you push the minus button, that just slows it down and stops it. And once it's slowed down, you can completely turn it off at the bottom again, and that's it. So I like that it comes with a little case to put everything in, and it tells you a little bit about the attachments it has. And honestly, it's kind of an investment, but it's not like super expensive. It's more accessible than some options. Iris chewed the dang cord. My cat is a psychopath. It comes with like a little Ziploc, and you can put all of the attachments in there. And then it seals really nice. You just pop it in there, and then you just zip it up again, and you can take it with you. So this next product is literally, I think, from the dollar store, but they have better versions on Amazon and online, and I'm sure in like more fancy stores. So the next one is called a gua sha, I think. Sorry if I'm butchering that name. Mine's plastic. You use it to drain the fluids from your neck, I guess. Pull up and then pull back down to release all the fluid. I've been doing this in the shower, and it's helping a lot. It's also just like a nice little facial spa moment, and I know that people who do makeup use this sometimes. I've just used it the way I've seen other people use it, and it seems to work alright. For someone who has like knots in my neck, it can be nice to kind of try and push them down. The next product is a bit bigger. It is a little foam roller, and they have longer ones and I think like thicker ones that you can use. But I put it on the floor, and I lay down with my lower back touching it, and I put my arms behind my head and I roll back and forth on it, rolling all the knots in my back kind of out and down. And this is one of the exercises that I do in physical therapy. I also now can do it at home now that I have one of these. When I'm feeling like I have a lot of knots on my back, I can just lay down on the floor and just roll back and forth, and it kind of can help loosen them up. And also if I'm stretching my neck or doing other things and I incorporate this in, definitely can help. Okay, and the next product is something that I also use at physical therapy, but I bought because I also wanted to use it at home. I call it the peanut. It's shaped like a peanut and it's squishy. It's made of plastic. You do kind of the same thing to what you do with the roller, where you lay on the floor and you put this behind your neck and you lay on it. And it's supposed to also kind of loosen your neck if there's any tightness or knots or muscle things going on. I don't use it all the time. It doesn't do too much for me, but I know some people really like it, so I thought I would suggest it just in case. And now the next product is essential oils. So my mom has a bunch of essential oils. This one's called Sunrise by Project 62. Why am I shaking? Am I okay? It's peppermint and lemon, and I love the smell of this one. It smells so good. Peppermint oil seems to really help my headaches. That's one of the only oils that kind of kicks it. I recommend this one. I think it smells amazing. There are also loads of other kinds of smells and scents that you can pick and choose from. Another essential oil thing that I use is this Aroma Guru peppermint roll-on. So basically it's essential oils, but it's safe for your skin, so you can roll it on any areas like maybe your temples or any of the pressure points we talked about could be really helpful. So it's similar to Sombra in that it has the same roll-on feature, but it's definitely a lot smaller. It's also safe to use on your skin, and I know not all essential oils are safe to use on your skin directly, so definitely make sure you check that before you put anything on your skin. So those are like the main products that I use, other than, like I mentioned before, the Advil and Excedrin. I think the sun is like going down as I film, so it's just progressively getting darker and darker in the video. I'm gonna wrap it up now. So in conclusion, despite being pretty much always in pain, to the naked eye, I don't seem like I am in pain. I mean, I seem to lead a pretty healthy and normal life. I go out with friends. I can still participate in pretty much all the activities I love. And I'm really grateful for that. I'm glad I can still pursue the things that I love, like writing music, or making videos, or just hanging out with family and loved ones. And even though it seems like I may be 100% all the time, that's not always the case, and in fact that rarely is the case. I have somewhat become limited in the things that I'm able to do. Yes, I'm able to go out with friends and have a good time, but also I'm not able to be in the sun very long. I'm not able to stand up for very long, or run around a lot without exuding all of my energy and needing to sit down and rest for a while. Because this is an illness that I have to live with my whole life, hence chronic, I've gotten pretty used to it, but it can still really hurt and feel frustrating when doctors don't take me seriously, or I can't do as much as my friends can do. The really frustrating part isn't even the pain sometimes. Sometimes it's the comments I'll hear, or just feeling like I'm not sick enough. I one time had a doctor tell me that I was too fat to have Hashimoto's, which was really strange to me. And even after fighting a long time and seeing so many doctors to get a diagnosis, I still have a hard time being taken seriously. And part of this is because I'm young, part of it's because I'm a girl, part of it is because this is not the most well-known disease. I will literally watch doctors type my illness and pain and symptoms into the search bar and try to figure out what's happening. It's this want to be understood and cared for, but that's difficult when even they don't know how to help. These doctors are people we trust, and we basically put our lives in their hands. And obviously they play a huge role, especially with COVID and everything right now. But it's one of those things that it makes sense why they call it a practice, because they're constantly practicing, they're constantly learning more about medicine and about illnesses and treatments and all of those kind of things. But it's pretty scary when you don't know much about it and your doctor doesn't either. But I also know there's lots to be thankful for, and I have a name for my illness, and I understand the patterns of my symptoms at least. And like I said, I'm limited in some ways, but in other ways, I can still do a lot of the things I love, and I know that a lot of people don't have that privilege, so for that I'm really, really thankful. I just wanted to share my thoughts on everything and get all this out there in hopes that it might help at least one person. So I really hope you enjoyed this video and maybe even learned something along the way. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.